Hi and welcome everyone. This is the Hobo Prepper and I am Friar Tuck. Thank you for joining me today. So I have been out on the road for a couple of months now, and I've been more traveling than bugging out, but both kind of go hand in hand. And so what I wanted to do today is I wanted to give you the 10 things that I have learned and 10 tips that you should be aware of and take into consideration before SHTF happens and you have to bug out. So the first one is going to be your food. Okay, you don't realize how much energy it takes to carry your gear, to keep moving and to keep going, regardless of whether you do a bike, whether you do it on foot. Now if you're in a car, it's much different, but if you if you're planning on using your body as a form of transportation, food is probably the most important thing that you could really be prepared for. So this is something that if you are planning on bugging out, make sure you have your ration set out and make sure that you have a diet that you're gonna like, because if you have to eat the same thing over and over and over again, after a while it becomes old and it becomes really hard to keep eating it, and that's kind of been one of my big problems that I've had. Number 2 is be prepared for bad weather. I mean, weather comes, weather goes. This is supposed to be one of the worst winters that we've had. There have been weird tornado warnings, outside of hurricane season here in Florida. They were expecting snow. We've had plenty of freezing days. And then on top of that, we've had plenty of days where it's been over 80 degrees. And so the weather is getting erratic. And when you're planning your clothes and the things that you're going to wear, one of the things that you should really be thoughtful of is to kind of have things that you can mix and match to be able to go with the weather. That way you can minimize the amount of clothes that you have, because weight is important. But anyways, it's just make sure that you minimize the amount of clothes that you have. You don't need a lot of clothes. You just need to be able to mix and match and be prepared for anything from down to 20 degrees or below, all the way up to 80 degrees and above, and everything in between. Number 3, and this is one that I've had a hard time coming to grips with, is be okay with retreading territory. Now, as you guys know, I went to Panama City and then I'm going all the way back the same route that I came. And for me personally, I didn't like it, but you know what? Some of the benefits is you already know where the campsites are. You already know where you can sleep. You already know where it's safe. You kind of already know the community and the things that are going on. And so you have the ability to kind of go into something versus going into something you don't know, because as you're going into new territory, you kind of got to scope it out and you've got to look around, and sometimes you're going to have a hard time finding a place that you can bug out and camp out in a reasonable way. So number 4 comes along with number 3. If you're going to be retreading territory, make sure that you leave no trace that you were there. Make sure that you clean up your stuff. I mean, when I go and I look for campsites, one of the things that I can definitely tell is that the homeless generally, they trash an area, they leave trash behind, especially if they're there for a couple of days, and it makes a big old mess, and it's kind of like an eyesore. And if you're trying to be incognito and you're trying to stealth camp, one of the things that you're really going to have to really think about is making sure to leave no trace. Now, this is something, so that means you might have to bring trash bags in with you. It means you may have to haul this around with you just to make sure that you leave no trace. And maybe even the food and stuff that you get, it has to be minimal packaging, so that you don't have a lot of so that you don't have a lot of trash to carry along with you. But this, I think, is very important, because the spot here in Perry, I left some Kleenex behind and now I get to see it, and it's it's you gotta be clean no matter what, because you never know if you're coming back. Number 5 is you got to be okay with hunkering down for a season. So, for example, this winter has been one of the worst winters on record for the last 40 years as far as extreme heat and extreme cold in certain areas of the country. And we don't know when it's going to get better. It's going to probably be a long winter. And so maybe even in the summer, if it's really, really, really hot and you feel the risk that it's going to get so hot that you're not able to stay hydrated, you may end up having issues with hydration. That may be something that you decide, okay, I'm going to hunker down for the season, and be okay with that. That was something that I didn't really think was okay, but if you're going to be out here, you're going to be out here indefinitely, because when you're bugging out and when you're going out and doing what I'm doing, you're going to have to be out in the elements 4 seasons for however many years it takes you to get back up on your feet for whatever reason. So being okay with finding places to hunker down for a season is okay. And even if that means you move one place for a season and then move another place for a season, that's okay as well. Just be okay with it. It's something that you shouldn't be ashamed of, oh, I need to keep moving. So that is number 5. Number 6 has been one that I have struggled with quite a bit, is traveling at your own pace. Do things at your own pace. Your body is going to tell you, okay, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I need to be able to take a rest. So you stop for a couple of days, you get that extra sleep, you kind of stay static, you let your muscles recover. Like me, I got a knot in my shoulder, I keep working that knot out, giving it a couple of days reprieve so it doesn't make it so excruciating I'm crying because it's so much pain. But things like this, being okay with moving at your own pace. You may plan to go 45 miles for the day, but if your body is only going to let you go 30, then just go 30. Don't push yourself too much unless you're in a situation where you should really be concerned for your safety, like that there's you got to get out of a blast radius or something like that. At that point in time, push your body, because I pushed my body to get ahead of that rainstorm so that I could actually find a place to hunker down for the rainstorm we had a couple of days ago. And I'm paying the price for it now, but at the end of the day, it was a one-off. And for the most part, if you're move at your own pace. And don't feel bad if you don't make the distance you want to make, because there's always going to be obstacles along the way, whether it be your body, whether it be your energy, or whether it be just other things that are going on. And number 7, it kind of goes with number 6, which is make sure to take time to rest your body. So for example, if you're constantly on the move and you're the type of person where it's like, okay, I need to have, even though I'm not a Christian, one of the things that I have always adopted is to have that one day of rest. I mean, it's to be able to give your body a chance to recuperate, to rejuvenate, to be able to get back on track, because sometimes your body just goes, okay, you just need to stop moving, you just need to sit there and drool all over yourself and be bored all day, and at worst play games on your phone and sit in a McDonald's and charge your phone while you're doing that. But just making sure to give your body the rest it needs, because you got to realize that as you're bugging out, especially if you're not using a car, the amount of stress that you're putting on your body is unprecedented compared to what you have done. And so this is something that you should definitely be thoughtful of, and something that you should consider when you're making your plans for bugging out. Now, number 8 is kind of a little contradictory to number 9, but I'm going to try and explain them both. Okay, so number 8 is, don't be afraid to make connections. You go through towns, you get to meet people, and you want to be able to put your best face forward, because you never know what opportunities are going to be there. And people are watching you, whether you realize it or not. It is something that that people do, and they're watching the content of your character, how you conduct yourself, how you do things. And so they may choose to approach you, and when they approach you, just make sure that it's okay to make connections, because there are going to be people that that you develop a connection with, that say, hey, I want to help you, hey, come over to my place, you can pitch a tent in my backyard, or hey, I see you need something to eat, here you go, let me help you out, I'll buy you a meal. So don't be afraid to make connections. Number 9, though, is keep to yourself and stay in your lane. A lot of people, especially when we become idealistic, whether it be for just the way we were raised, or our politics, or our religious philosophy, sometimes we want to be able to kind of indirectly impose our morals, values, and beliefs onto other people, and that may end up getting you into trouble. And this is something that I have happened to me more than I do to other people. For example, I had a couple. They asked me what my story was. I told them my story. They're like, "Oh, you're an educated person," da 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 da. And then they, "Have you found Jeebus?" And I'm like, no, and then you kind of gotta skirt around that as well, because you're not necessarily trying to offend people, you're not trying to create contention, you're just trying to move on with as little issues as possible. So whenever possible, keep to yourself, stay in your lane. People will approach you, and at that point in time when they approach you, then you develop that connection with them. Okay, so number 10, and this one is something that I am learning, especially since I got my food stamps, is understanding your hygiene and your resupply. Okay, so you're gonna have to pass through cities, because if you're on foot or on bike, you can't carry all the food. You can't carry a month's worth of food on you at a time. You are gonna have to stop in, you're gonna have to resupply. So when you're planning your route, when you're planning your bug out, it's usually a minimum, or a maximum, 50 miles between cities. So it might take you a couple of days to get there. And if that be the case, just make sure that you plan your resupply, and that you are able to get to city centers that will be able to allow you to resupply. Now, there are people that suggest, oh, well, maybe you should, if you're going to do a route, maybe you should bury food. But you also got to realize that the critters are going to smell that food, and they're going to start digging it up. So it may not always be the best thing for you. So just make sure that you have that you have plans for resupply and your hygiene, because one of the things that keeps me close to shelters that has kind of worked against me is that I like to have a shower. Now, I have gotten the wipes as suggested by one of the subscribers here, and that has helped me out quite a bit, and it has kind of taken my need away from from needing to go have a shower, because I don't smell like Swiss cheese. So that's when you start smelling yourself, it's bad. So planning your resupply, or planning your hygiene, those are important things. Okay, guys, and I'm going to give you one bonus one, because this wasn't on my list, but I think that this is important. Gear maintenance, and allowing time for gear maintenance. So when I wake up in the morning, because of being the dew point and everything, the inside of my tent, the canopy is always wet. So I always have to, in the mornings, I have to make sure that I take extra time, and this is part of my pack up time, so this is something you should be aware of. But you should definitely look at the maintenance to your gear as time goes along, because the thing is as time goes along, you're going to like I said, the weather, it's going to play its own thing, and if you don't take care of your gear is not going to take care of you. And this is probably the biggest difference between the homeless and the preppers, is gear maintenance. Those that take care of their gear takes care of them. And I can't drive this home enough, especially with the experiences that I've had, taking care of your gear, making sure that when you're doing a repair, that you do the extra detail, that you go over it with a fine-tooth comb. Otherwise, you know, like me, I had a couple extra holes in my tire that I shouldn't have had because I was being quick and I wasn't paying attention. Or I've gotten mold because I've allowed other people to use my stuff and they didn't take care of it, and then I have to deal with the ramifications of it. So gear maintenance is important, and also make sure don't ever loan your stuff out. No matter how much of a friend or how needy that person is, don't loan your bug out gear out, because that is going to be the difference between survival and not survival, and the integrity of the gear that which you have. All right, guys, I hope that this helped you out, and I hope that that you are able to learn some good things from my mistakes, because yeah, quite frankly, I've made quite a few of them, and they have put me in predicaments that I probably shouldn't have been in. It's part of being prepared, is, you know, is looking at it from every angle, but also there are things that just go on that you're not prepared for, that you didn't expect, that are little nuances that throw you for a loop, you know, and these are things that you really need to be aware of. And so that's why I thought I would give you the 10 things that, you know, give you these 10 tips on bugging out that will help you improve your whole bug out situation. Now, they may seem simple, but in a lot of ways they are critical. So if you want to help the channel, you can like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. All that helps out in the algorithm, as well as, you know, you can leave a tip in my tip jar, or you could come on over to Patreon and get Patreon exclusive content, or you can go down through my affiliate links, because I use all the gear that is there, and it has worked well for me.